Hello, welcome to Chatterboxing. I'm Sean. Going to talk today about who I think the best fighters are right now in the UK. I saw an article today on Sky Sports website where they made a list of all the current UK world champions, 14 in total, and they wanted the readers to vote for who was the best, and then they were going to kind of put them in the order of who voted for them from 1 to 14. So I'm going to do today like my top UK fighters. I'm not going to do 14 because we're going to be here. Well, we'd be here all night if I did that. So I'm going to do the top five. Okay, it's not easy to do the top five because there are some good ones in there. And to choose, I would have to leave a few people out that really I'd like to include in there, and it's kind of a difficult choice. But I've had to put it down to, well, I haven't had to, but I'm going to put it down to five. So let's start with number five. Going for Anthony Joshua. Probably in the Sky um, list, they're going to have him higher. The reason I say that is because first of all, he is their biggest cash cow. He's the most popular in terms of people going to see his fights, people paying for pay-per-view, viewing figures in general. He's a real celebrity in the UK. He's very popular with the kind of casual sports fans. He's a heavyweight, knocks everyone out. He speaks well. He's kind of, he's just a good like kind of face of the sport really in Britain. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think a lot they'll probably have him quite high in that because also a lot of people who are not don't know follow boxing that much, they're going to know him. So, so yeah, he'll be up there. But he makes my number five. Um, there are a few people I've left out who definitely could say they have better records than him. They've fought better opponents and they kind of been around for longer, etc. But I mean, my criteria is a bit mixed. Of some of it's like record achievements, also potential, and just like the kind of eye test, the manner in which they've won their fights and how they've done it, how they've looked doing it. So I'm going to put him in as number five. He's okay. Well, he shouldn't really be world champion, should he? I mean, that's you know, it is what it is. He's kind of Tyson Fury signed up to a rematch with Vladimir Klitschko. So the IBF said, well, you have to fulfill. I mean, we know what happened. So yeah, circumstances um, have made it that Anthony Joshua is champion. He got given the opportunity, he took it with both hands. So fair play to him. But the point is, he doesn't have the record that you'd expect a world champion to have. But you could say the same thing for a few people, I suppose. But in his last three fights, he's beaten three unbeaten opponents. The last one, Dominic Brazil, it was unbeaten. Yeah, he wasn't the best fighter the world's ever seen, but he was decent. He was unbeaten. He was big. He's proved himself to be very tough. Um, I think his best win was probably Amir Mansour, who I do think is quite good. So yeah, by no means an easy opponent. Um, but yeah, Anthony Joshua beat him and beat him easily, and he looked very good in doing so. Um, he still obviously can make a lot of improvements, but at this level in his career, the way he's winning is very impressive. Um, Charles Martin, okay, yeah, Charles Martin, obviously a complete paper champion, but that doesn't mean that he's not a good fighter. I mean, just because Anthony Joshua knocked him out, these things can happen. Who's to say he won't come back again and be decent? I mean, he was unbeaten. He was big. He's a southpaw. He could punch. So you can't say that's not a credible opponent, especially at that time, at that point in your career. When you say, yeah, you won the world title or world title off him, then it's obviously not as impressive as winning it from Vladimir Klitschko. But you know he was given the opportunity, he took it, and he took it very well. Before that, Dylan White, another unbeaten fighter, underrated in my opinion. Um, so yeah, that's his last three. In terms of potential, he has a lot of potential. He's been very highly rated by people in the sort of know in Britain for a long, long time. He only started boxing when he was, I think, uh, not sure exactly, but quite young, maybe 18 or something. Um, and then he went from there with very little experience to be like a top level amateur. Um, Won the gold medal. Yeah, people say that like a decision could have gone the other way, and it probably could have done, but still, he was competing at that level with very little experience. He's come into the pro game. He's had a lot of pressure on him. And he dealt with it very well, and he's won convincingly. So now I'm not sure his next opponent will be, but I know he has to fight Joseph Parker soon. I think he'll win that quite easily. I think that would be a good. That might be quite easy. It's an exaggeration, but I back him clearly to win that, and that would be another good opponent. So yeah, he's there at the moment, like number five. But yeah, great potential. All right, number four, I've gone for Kell Brook. I rate Kell Brook very, very highly. In terms of skills, I rate him very high. I think he's very, very good. Um, he doesn't really have the record to prove it. He's I mean, there are various reasons for that. I think um, he's kind of. I mean, I'm not sure how long he's been with Eddie Hearn, but I think before then he was kind of wasn't really taking it that seriously. I think people were saying he was going out drinking. He was like people accusing him of like sort of doing drugs. I don't know anything about that, but struggling maybe to make weight. Um, you know, bad diet. Didn't have the best stamina. Wasn't particularly disciplined. I mean, he's been stabbed now a couple of times. One time when I think he was outside a pub about like 4 in the morning. Another time back to someone's house after drinking at like 4 in the morning. I mean, that was recently actually this one, but you just think like it doesn't look good in terms of the discipline and the kind of. Hopefully, that was just a kind of relapse. But yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons. Secondly, he's obviously been in. He's in the welterweight division. Most of his opponents, all the top welterweights, are in America. Signed with Al Heyman, who I mean, you could say, well, he is obviously a big rival with Eddie Hearn at the moment. Um, Maybe not openly, but it does look like it could be difficult for Al Heyman's fighters to, or for Kell Brook to get fights with them. People with the likes of Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia. Um, According to Eddie Hearn, he's tried to make fights with Keith Thurman, with Danny Garcia, with Lamont Peterson, Broner, and they're not interested. Well, at least Al Heyman doesn't really want to make the fights. He said that he thought Errol Spence does, but the rest of them don't. I don't know, but anyway, he's for whatever reason doesn't have really the record to prove it, but he's definitely looked the part again in doing like in his fight. He really does look good. Sean Porter, obviously his best opponent. Um, it wasn't an easy fight because a fight with Sean Porter never is, but he made it look well. He kind of he looked a level above, like in terms of skill, like 4 or 5 levels above. But Sean Porter with his pure kind of physicality and just constant, relentless pressure isn't going to make it easy for anyone. So it didn't look um, as good as it could have done, but still watching that, like he got. I remember watching that and seeing a lot of the comments from people in America who'd never really seen him before. They were very very impressed by him. Unfortunately, then he got stabbed, and then they kind of lost the momentum, and you know, yeah, it's unfortunate. Now he's going to be fighting Golovkin, which yeah, I don't pick him to win that. I'll make a video about that another time, but I'm not picking him to beat Golovkin. I don't think anyone could hold that against me. Um, but yeah, in terms of his skills, he's first of all he's got good attributes. He's very strong, very tough, powerful, quick. He's got brilliant accuracy and timing. But on top of that, he's also very composed. He's got very good. He's a good thinking fighter. He doesn't just you know come in and just try to blast people out. He waits for the right moment. If he does hurt people, then he won't just go steaming in like Amir Khan would, or Deontay Wilder or someone like that. He kind of keeps his composure, and he'll like pick the right spot. And also when he's being attacked, he will as well. Like with the Sean Porter fight, it's a good example. Sean Porter just constantly on him. Like first fight in America. Well, no, he fought before in America, but first fight against a decent opponent, a very good opponent for a first world title fight, and he kept his composure very well. So he does it whether he's being attacked or whether he's attacking other people. So yeah, so when you combine that with his physical attributes, it's a very, very difficult man to beat. Probably not for someone like Golovkin, but for people his own size, definitely. All right, number three, I'm going for Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton, I made a video about that. I made a couple of videos of the Leo Santa Cruz, where I predicted that he would win that, and then the one without the situation with Rigondeaux, which is kind of hanging over him, which I personally would like to see him address. I'd like to see him make that fight. Um, but still, he's got some good wins on his record. I'd say the best one, Leo Santa Cruz in America, um, moving up in weight, no tune-ups. Just you can say Leo Santa Cruz is the best at featherweight, but he's definitely one of the best. So he's gone up. Um, but you could make a case for him being the best. He's definitely like one of the top people. So he's gone up in weight, um, no tune-up, straight in, and won in America with a very, very impressive performance against a very good fighter. The one before that, he fought Scott Quigg, undefeated champion. Okay, again, uh, paper champion. Let's be honest, Rigo is the real champion for that belt, but still a good fighter, a good solid fighter, and a very good win to beat him, and those two back to back. Um, he's also beaten Kiko Martinez twice. First one being that he knocked him out, good win. Chris Avalos, some decent wins, and the style in which he's done it, very very skillful, strong as well. Um, and just great footwork and control of distance for someone as small as he is, and with his generally with the reach advantage that his opponents have, for him to be able to sort of out jab them, to control the distance, fight on come in on the inside, but then still like manage to fight from range. He can just do a lot. Go on the back foot. He's got a great punch variety. Um, so yeah, I mean, when you put all that together right now, definitely he's got to be up there. I'd say like number three. I mean, depending on who he fights next, um, I'd like to see him fight Rigondeaux, but as I said, I'm not sure what's going on with them. With like Rigondeaux's team, not going to make an offer, which is what's going to have to happen because obviously Carl Frampton's team aren't going to make an offer, are they? They don't seem particularly bothered. They don't really want the fight. It doesn't look like it. So it's going to have to be Rigo's team making an offer. Whether that will happen, I don't know. But as I say, I want to see that fight. I want to see that situation addressed because it is hanging over him and it's not good. But still, I don't want to get too negative with that. He's got a very good record, very good performances, and he's really making a name for himself around the world. Um, okay, number two, go for James DeGale. James DeGale, um, Olympic gold medalist. Um, Again, like quite a lot of pressure from early on in his career, not to the same extent as Anthony Joshua. First of all, I think because it was in Beijing, and not London, didn't have the same kind of media interest around it as the London one did, for the public. And also, he's a different kind of character. James DeGale, he doesn't really come across very well, to be honest with you. Anthony Joshua comes across as a lot nicer. James DeGale kind of, whether it's right or not, he comes across quite arrogant. He hasn't really done himself many favours in the way he's kind of marketed himself. But still, he's had high expectations, should we say, since he was, since very early on in his career. Beat some good, decent, like domestic level fight like Paul Smith. Um, Lost to James DeGale. I mean, lost to George Groves. Could have gone the other way. I mean, it could have gone either way really. Um, but still, that was a lesson learned for him. I think he he didn't get too disheartened by that. He stayed with the same trainer. He's got a very good relationship with his trainer, Jim McDonnell. Um, and he's very very good, James DeGale. He's he can he's just very difficult really to describe. He's very awkward. He's got quite a unique style. He can basically he seems to sort of like switch from one style to the other, like sort of doing combinations as he does it. Um, Problem that he does seem to have sometimes he gets a bit. I think his arrogance can like be quite a factor for him. Like George Groves, a good example. He was talking before the fight as if all he had to do was turn up and he'd win. His last fight, Porky Medina, I mean, he was just talking as if he just wasn't on his level and it was just going to be an easy fight for him. And you can see he went in there underestimating him. Um, so that's something that he really should address. I don't know if he ever will, to be honest, but it is a weakness of his, I think. But yeah, very skilled. Seems to be like pretty tough. He can fight on the inside, outside. Um, I'm putting him up there above Carl Frampton because you can definitely say that he's probably the best. Most people consider him the best in his division. Now Andre Ward's left. People say he probably is the best. I mean, you could make a case maybe for Badou Jack. They're going to hopefully fight to see, but most people would consider him the number one. Um, he's beaten some good fights like Andre Dirrell, Lucien Boutte, and he's done both of those on the road. So he's kind of fighting outside of his comfort zone quite a lot. So I'm putting him up there as number two. Okay, then well I'm sure you probably worked out who the number one is by now. Um, Tyson Fury. Um, okay, well yeah, I mean various reasons. Firstly, I think he is in terms of skill, he's the best. I've said it for a very long time. I think he's got a very, very, very good skill set. Has his movement is exceptional, especially for someone his size. He's very versatile. He can fight at long range, that we saw against Klitschko, or he can fight on the inside very well. Seen that various times. He can fight southpaw. He's got a very good fighting spirit. He's very intelligent. Uh, he's I mean, people have accused him of having a bad chin because he's been knocked down a couple of times. Um, I don't think so. He's been knocked down. I mean, the one who got knocked down from Steve Cunningham. Everybody said, "Oh, he got knocked down by Steve Cunningham, who's a light punching cruiserweight." Well, Steve Cunningham, first of all, was very quick, and he caught him. He's walking in, and bang, he just caught him with probably one of the best punches he's ever thrown as he was walking into it. Um, it's like an overhand right as well. It's quite a difficult punch to really see coming, especially if someone's smaller than you. Derek Chisora is always hitting people with them. So he walked straight into it, and it was his almost well, it wasn't quite like Carl Frampton when he was in Texas, but he was in America, Madison Square Gardens on TV. His uncle wasn't there because he couldn't come into the country for visa reasons. So he was kind of a bit reckless and he got a bit carried away. And he didn't really respect Steve Cunningham's punching power. I mean, you notice he didn't do that with Klitschko. He wouldn't be doing that with someone like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. So, yeah, I don't really look too much into that. He got straight back up and he won by knockout. He was knocked down again by someone else, I can't remember who. But again, he got up, won by knockout. It doesn't affect him. It's not like he gets up and he's like kind of like he's just had 15 pints and he's walking out the pub. He basically got knocked down. He got up and he won. So I don't really think that he's got like a problem with his chin. Uh, I haven't I haven't seen anything to make me think that. So yeah, I'd say his all-round ability puts him as number one. Um, Also, like the victory that he's had. I mean, he's had some good wins. Steve Cunningham was a good win, I'd say. Derek Chisora early in his career, he was fighting at quite a decent level, really, for what he was doing. Like kind of you know, after like a seven, like fighting quite like 10 round fights, 12 round fights, he was kind of well schooled early on. He beat like Kevin Johnson when it kind of meant something, and obviously like Vladimir Klitschko would be the main one. Um, Massive victory. That is the biggest victory well, of any of these people have had. Can't think of anyone. No, nobody's beaten like someone like Vladimir Klitschko out of them. I mean, Vladimir Klitschko was the best fighter in the world. I mean, you could talk about if this person, all this sort of pound for pound, you know, hypothetical kind of opinions, but Vladimir Klitschko was the best fighter on the planet. Nobody could beat him for 10 years. No one gave him a chance to win, but he went in there and he won easily. To be honest, he didn't get out of first gear. Um, he just had total confidence going into it. He's like putting his hands behind his back at some point and like dancing around. Vladimir Klitschko headbutted him at one point. I remember. Um, you know, the ring, the business with the ring, and so yeah. I mean, it was just a very very good victory. Um, so that's got to put him right up there. But then, just in terms of his skill set and his potential for what he can do, that's why I've got him as my number one. Few people that I nearly made the list: Billy Joe Saunders, um, Lee Selby, Anthony Crolla, quite a few others really, but those three in particular didn't quite make the list. Just because I could only have five people. So I mean, Anthony Crolla is someone who's like really impressing me more and more. I keep betting against him, and he keeps surprising me. So hopefully he can do the same thing against Linares. Billy Joe Saunders, not really sure what he's doing. Apparently he's going to be fighting on Canelo and Smith's undercard. I'm not sure against who, but I'd like to see him, step it up a bit. And who else? I think Lee Selby. Yeah, Lee Selby, very good as well. I'll probably be fighting Carl Frampton next, so that would really, be a good chance to see where he's at. But yeah, that's my top five. So yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think.